The Grid game series began way back in 2008 with race driver Grid, a game that cemented Codemasters' position as one of the premier racing game developers on PC and consoles. The first Grid was fantastic. It gracefully straddled the line between a race sim and an arcade racer. It didn't have any boost systems and wasn't as ridiculous as the Burnout series, for example, but it also kept its eye sharply focused on a fun racing experience with convincing physics and fantastic car handling. The damn thing just felt great. This was soon followed by Grid 2, Grid Autosport, a sort of reboot with the simple title Grid, and finally, in 2022, just last year, Grid Legends. As with most franchises, the critical reception for the series did see diminishing returns, with the original race driver Grid still holding the highest score of the entire series if you check out Metacritic. But then again, the wow factor was brand new when that came out. It had incredible graphics for the time and the presentation was impeccable, with the sleekest UI UX we'd probably ever seen in any game ever. So here we are, it's the second week of 2023 and Grid Legends has somehow made its way to the Quest 2. How? How is this possible, you may ask? And I wouldn't blame you. How could a full-fat racing game with a story mode, a career mode, online multiplayer, a plethora of cars and customizations and tweaks, more options than you can shake a very large stick at, tons of tracks, and all that stuff get ported to Quest? Okay, fine, Quest 2. Is it a cut-down version of the game, you might justifiably ask? Is it a stripped-down mini-clone with the bare minimum of content retained but using the Grid Legends name to lure unsuspecting VR gamers in? Is it a cash-grabbing imposter? No, it's not really any of that. It's the full game. All the bells, all the whistles. Okay, so how? Well, in case you haven't been watching the footage on the screen, here's the how. It looks like it's running on a Commodore 64. It looks like it's running on an old Nokia phone. It looks like you're running it on a PC so old that you had to lower the resolution to 360p and turned off any graphical flourishes. It looks like you somehow ported it to a... You get the message. So that's the huge caveat emptor. The graphics are, to put it bluntly, shit. They're dog turd. This is quite possibly one of the ugliest games to grace your Quest 2. Now, with that firmly out of the way, if you like racing games and you don't care about how good the graphics are, Grid Legends is the real deal. The racing is actually fantastic. The car handling is better than anything else you'll find on Quest. The tracks are great. The Y reverse time undo trick from the PC and console versions is there, it's intact. The online racing is there. Again, it's the full fat Grid Legends, just running on a toaster. The other major issue of the game is that nothing has been tailor-made for VR. It's a straight and graphically beaten down port of the game. The menus are identical to the Pancake game, so much so that sometimes items aren't even highlighted when you point at them, only when you actually click, resulting in some confusion sometimes. Sliders for episodes in the story don't click and drag to slide like you'd expect them to in VR and like you're used to from the Metastore when you're on your headset. No, if you click, they get selected and launched. Nothing has been done to make the game feel at home in VR, and no Oculus standards have been followed when it comes to how to handle pointing, dragging, sliding, and selecting items. So how is it overall? Well, I'm not prepared to score it, and this isn't really a review since I've really only scratched the surface of a big game. Speaking of big, this will happily chew up 31 gigabytes of your space, so if you have a 128 gig Quest, you're gonna have to delete a few things probably. And if you've got a 256 gig Quest, prepare to lose a whole chunk of that space. It's big and it's greedy. The only game bigger than this was Medal of Honor. So, fantastic racing if you tolerate the incredibly low resolution graphics and lazy porting. Is it worth $29.99? Well, if you're a racing fan looking for a real racing experience on standalone Quest 2, you already know the answer to that question. If not, well, then maybe watch some more gameplay videos and decide for yourself. And in case you're wondering, I did not feel any motion sickness while playing it despite fully expecting that I would. The frame rate in the trailer didn't look very promising, but somehow playing the game, I had no issues. This could be because you're always playing from inside the car and the car's interior and HUD anchor you well enough. Again, that's me, your mileage may vary. Do I wish it had better graphics? Yes, God, yes, absolutely. Do I wish they'd taken the time to actually make it VR friendly in terms of the UI, UX? Yes, it's frustrating that they didn't even bother to do that. It's just lazy and not very friendly to VR gamers who want to have a fully VR experience when they put on their headset. Is it fascinating to see a full-fat grid game running as though it's somehow been ported to a pocket calculator? I won't lie. Yes, it is. This is a tough one. Really, it's too close to call. I don't know what to tell you. Despite that, I do hope the video has been useful. I hope some of my feedback on it has been useful. The gameplay footage, you know, it shows you what it is. And there you go. If you like the video, please give us a like. If you like the channel, remember to subscribe. See you next time.